Hello ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to record a quick updated video on how to set up Apache Cassandra on Windows 10. And this is because some of the things have changed since my last version of the video. There's a few more hurdles that I've had to go through in order to get it to run correctly. So I thought I would pass that along with a new setup video. But you can see here, I've got a fresh install of Windows. There's nothing particularly set up here. The only thing I've done is I've downloaded the files already, but I'm going to show you where to go to download those as well. So this is Apache Cassandra's website. You can go to cassandra.apache.org, and here what we're going to do is first check out the documentation. Now this is before version 4 has been released, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the right here, or actually zoom out just a little bit and click on the documentation here. And this is, so the release candidate of version 4 is out. This version doesn't have the PowerShell commands to run on Windows, so you can't quite use that yet, but if version 4 is out, you might want to try that instead of version 3. But we're going to check out the version 3 documentation currently. So version 4 will be better. It uses a newer version of Java, and it also works with Python 3 instead of Python 2, but for now we're kind of stuck with the old version of Java and Python. So here's the documentation. I just changed the number here to 3.11.11, and I'm going to click on Getting Started and then clicking on Install Cassandra. And you can see here it's requiring either the Oracle's Java 8 or the OpenJDK 8 version, and you can check that with Java-version, and also Python 2.7 if you need the command line query language shell. And so that's the command Cassandra query language shell is what that stands for. And so if you don't need that on this computer that you're running, then you can probably just use Python 3. But I'm going to use Python 2 so that we can use that on this same computer. And you can see if I open up the command prompt, I'm going to go down here to Windows System and Command Prompt, or you can just search for Command Prompt. Right now, if I type in Java-version, it's not recognized. Also, if I type in Python -version, that command also returns nothing because I don't have a version of Python set up yet. So we're going to go ahead and get those set up. So if you go to the Python website, python.org, you can click download, and you might be tempted to click on this, but no, that's version 3, so we can't do that yet. So click on Windows here, and then scroll down and click on the latest version of Python 2. And then because I'm using the 64-bit version of Windows, I'm going to download this version here, the Windows x86-64 MSI installer. And if you click on that, that will download. I've already downloaded it. And you can check your version of Windows to see if it's 64-bit, or if you need this version, the x86 version, by in the search here, you can type in about your PC. And you can see here system type 64-bit operating system. So after you've downloaded Python, then you can either download Oracle's Java Development Kit or do the Adopt Open Java Development Kit. What I like about Open Java Development Kit, other than it being open source, is you also don't need to create an account with Oracle. So Oracle requires you to create an account in order to download the file, which you can do. It's free, and there's no problem there, but this is a little easier. So I'm going to click on OpenJDK 8. And then click on either of these, but I'm going to choose Hotspot. Either one should work. And then click Latest Release. Just click that, and it should download. And then another thing we can do is to go ahead and download Cassandra. So under Cassandra's website, I'm going to click Downloads here. And we'll click on the latest stable release. Again, as the time of recording, it's Cassandra 3, not Cassandra 4, because that's still a release candidate. So I'm going to click on 3.11.10, and then I'm going to click on this link here to download it. Notice that this is a tar gunzip. And so what that means is it's a compressed file that we can't, by default, extract with Windows built-in tools. So after downloading that, we'll need something like 7-zip. 7-zip is a great option. And so if you go to 7zip.org, you can click download here for the 64-bit version if you have that version of Windows. Otherwise, you can use the 32-bit version here. So click on that and download that. Now I've got all those files already installed or already downloaded in my downloads folder. So here's my downloads folder, and we can just go ahead and install each of them. So I'm going to first install Python, and I'll do install it for all users. And I'll keep the default path. And here, one thing that's helpful to check is add python.exe to path. So I'm going to install that as well. We can change that later, but it's helpful to do it here. It's a little easier. I'll show you how to do both ways. This installation doesn't take too long. We'll let that go ahead and finish real quick. Okay, and so that's finished, so we'll press finish, and then we'll go ahead and install the OpenJDK or the other version of the Java Development Kit if you got it from Oracle. And I'm going to accept the agreement here. And then again here, we want to make sure that add to path is selected, and also we want to set this Java home variable. We can again do this later, but it's easier to just let the installer do it for us. Click install. And then finished. And now what we can do is double check that those environment variables are set up, or if you didn't check the box or had these previously installed, you can do it here. So in the search box here, I'm going to type in environment, and you can see it's popping up already with edit system environment variables. So I'm going to click on that. It's an easy way to do it, and then click on environment variables here at the bottom. And there's two sets. One is the user variables. These are just for your logged in user, just you, not other users on this computer. And system variables apply to all users. So we can see that there's a Java home added for all users, and that's good. If not, we could click new and add it. And then here on path, I'm going to double click on the path here. You can see here's a link to the bin folder inside our Java Development Kit inside the path variable. And also we got these two Python paths here as well added already. If they're not here, you can click new and then click browse and browse to those locations on your computer. So for example, we know we installed Python on the C drive, and there it is. So we could click on this and add it. Obviously, I don't need to do that because those are already set. Okay, so next is to extract Cassandra. So here it is, and again, we need some kind of tool to extract that. So I'm going to go ahead and install 7-zip really quickly. This installs very quickly. And then we can right click on our thing here and click 7-zip, the new thing. And I'm just going to click extract here. That'll extract just the tar file, which is also needs to be extracted. So we'll right click on this tar file and click 7-zip, and you can just extract it here if you want to. What I'm going to do is go ahead and move it to the C drive. So I'm going to click extract files, and then I'm going to change this path here to be c:/. I like to put Cassandra right in the root of my path. You could put it elsewhere, but it's a good idea to put it in a path that doesn't have spaces in it. And then I'm going to uncheck this here. It doesn't need to create this location here to put it. The tar file already has a folder inside of it. I'm going to hit OK, and this is going to extract really quickly into the C drive. Now we can click on this PC and go to the C drive, and you see there's a folder here for Apache Cassandra. And if I click on that, it has a bin folder and a config folder. The bin is where you'll run your commands, and configures how it's set up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just try it. It probably won't work, but we can make some changes and just see what happens. So I'm going to open up the command prompt again and go ahead and maximize it, and we'll change directories into C/Apache Cassandra/bin. And so once we're in there, we're going to type Cassandra and just see what happens, see if it is able to run successfully. We'll probably still have to make a few changes. We'll see a warning, and notice it exited. So if it exits, then it's not working. It should remain running here in the command line, so we shouldn't get another prompt here. And there's some errors that we can fix. Now, one thing at the very top here is this warning: PowerShell execution unavailable. So if you see this same error, we'll want to run this command. So we'll want to set up the PowerShell. So we'll want to make it unrestricted to have it be able to run in enhanced mode. So I'm going to right click on the Windows thing here, the Windows button, and click Windows PowerShell Admin and accept that. And then here, what you can do is you can actually see your current policies and change those. So I'm going to first get, this is like a bonus, we're going to go ahead and get the execution policy and just pass it the command list so we can see it. And you notice in my machine, as it came by default, none of them are defined, but we want to change the local machine here to be allowed. And so what we can do is set execution policy unrestricted. And this is the same as the warning is giving us in the previous command. And I'm going to hit yes here to let that happen. And then if we go ahead and list it again, you can see the local machine now has it listed as unrestricted. And again, this command here is just the output that's shown right here. The other thing I'm getting is an error here related to can't find dependencies, and it's pointing to this particular DLL here, unsatisfied linking error. It says for the and if you see this, what I've discovered is it has to do with a missing C++, Visual C++ 2010 redistributable library. So we can go ahead and install that as well. What I've done is I've already gone to the download link in Edge. So you can go to this link. I'll put this link in the description if you have the same error. And we'll go down here and click on the download button. And then because I'm using the 64-bit version of Java, I'm going to click on this with the x64 at the end and click next and let that download, and then we'll click on it to install it. And it takes not very long. I've read and I don't need to send any information to Microsoft for this to work. And we can go ahead and exit out. Now I'm going to clear the screen. So on the command line, if you ever want to clear the screen, you type just cls, and we'll try running Cassandra one more time. Notice it says running an enhanced script, start script. And now it's showing an access violation. And notice it's saying here the SIGAR library. And we can, this is something that I've run into as well. So what we can do is, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this, and we can change the Cassandra configuration to basically not use that, not look up that library. So I'm going to go to the, again, this is C, Apache Cassandra, and then I'm going to click on config. And we'll go down to this file here. It's a PowerShell file. In fact, if I show you, if I go to options here and view, and then click uncheck this hide extensions of known file types, then we can see it's got a PS1 here at as the extension. So I'm going to open this, and we can jump down to line 357 in the current version. You can press Control G to jump to a particular line number in most editors, including the standard Notepad. And so here it is, the line here. And notice it's pointing to adding SIGAR environment. And you can Google this if you want to know more information about that, but we can just comment that out. That's not necessary for Cassandra to run. And so I'm just going to comment that out for now while it's not working. Add a pound sign at the front, and then I hit Control S to save, or you can go to File and click Save as well. And I'm going to exit out of that. I'm going to open up the command prompt again. We're going to navigate back to the Apache Cassandra bin file, and go ahead and maximize this. And then we can type in Cassandra and see if it runs now. Okay, it looks like it's didn't exit. It looks like it's running. We can open up another command prompt and test that out. So I'm going to just right click here and click on another command prompt so we can pop that up. I'm going to navigate back to C/Apache Cassandra /bin, and I'm going to type node tool, and then status. And this can give us the status of the current running instance. So here you can see that the status of our one node is up and running. We can see the host ID and where it's running. So if you don't see that, that means it's probably still not working. Another thing we can test is the Cassandra query language shell. So that's the Cassandra query language shell. That's how the abbreviation for it. Type that and launch it. And since we installed Python 2, this should work. And so, yeah, we should be able to type in commands here to access our database, as you can see here. Notice it's saying this warning that's missing this dependency, py readline. So we can go ahead and install that if we want. I'm going to type quit and then colon to exit out of this. And we can do a pip install py readline. Let that install really quickly. And it's telling us that we shouldn't be using Python 2.7. I agree, but we need it for now. It's also saying that it recommends updating pip, so we might as well do that as well with this command here that it provides for us. And now that that's set up, we can type in cls to clear the screen and try the Cassandra query language shell one more time, cqlsh. And notice that warning's gone, so it seems to be working. We still have this warning about code pages must be set. I don't think that's a big deal for us, but if you'd like to look into that warning, you can also address that as well. Another thing that I wanted to mention, we didn't run into it in this time in the video, but I have in the past, depending on how much memory is in my system. So if you have a lot of memory on your computer, you might run into a problem where the Java development or the Java runtime can't load as much as Cassandra's trying to do. And so one fix for that, again, is to go to the C Apache config and then open here the jvm.options. So I'm going to double click on that. We'll go ahead and open it with Notepad, since that's all I have on this computer. And if you scroll down this file towards the bottom, there's a section called heap settings. Yeah, so heap settings here. And it talks about here a formula for setting how big the heap should be. And notice it's set to be the maximum of 1/2 the RAM or the minimum of 1/2 the RAM or at least this. So it'll be at least 1 GB, and the minimum will be 1/4 of the RAM or at most 8 GB. And so if that ends up being too big, you can fix that by uncommenting these. So I'm just going to remove the pound signs here. And this forces basically the maximum and the minimum size to be 4 GB both. So basically you'll have a heap of 4 GB. And you could change this. You could change it to 1 GB, or you could change this G here to be an MB for megabytes. But uncommenting these will set a specific heap size. So if you run into that problem, you can adjust those options here, and then that should work and fix that problem. Anyways, you can see there's quite a few hoops to run into, to jump through to get Apache Cassandra running, and it might be a little easier in Linux. One last thing that I want to set up is I don't want to have to go to this path in order to run Cassandra. So this is an optional thing. If you just want to go to this path every time, that's fine. But let's add this location to our path in Windows, so that way we can access it from anywhere in the command line. So I'm going to go ahead and exit Cassandra from now. I'm just hit Control-C there to exit out. Let's go back to the environment variables. So I'm going to search again here, edit system environment variables, and go down to environment variables here. And we can do this in the system path or the user path. Again, the system path is for everybody. I'm going to click on New and Browse. And we'll go ahead and browse to where Cassandra was installed. So that would be in the C drive, and then Apache Cassandra, and then inside bin. That'll be what we want to add. And then we'll hit OK here. And I can't click on the OK button here, but let's see. Okay, got through it because it was a little off the screen because I'm so zoomed in here. And we hit OK now. So now I can open up the command prompt again, and then from anywhere, including here, I should be able to type in Cassandra, and have it launch. Sure enough, there it goes. So that makes it a little easier. Hope this video was helpful. As always, you're probably going to run into a few problems that I didn't, but I tried to cover as many as I could, given a fresh install of Windows with nothing else on it. Hopefully it's a little easier when version 4 is fully released. So if you're watching this video at that time, I definitely recommend trying Cassandra 4 instead of Cassandra 3. Or if you want to jump back to my previous video on setting up with version 3.11.4 instead of 3.11.11, then you can try that as well. But anyways, hopefully you can figure it out. And if not, leave a comment or let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.